That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Okay, put that on there. Be ready to go.
It's February here, so we're going to be back into the growth season next month. We need to make sure that everything is working top notch. We don't have enough money to pay for repairs or replace things, so doing maintenance, replacing any parts that we know are worn is critical this time of year. Today I wanted to go over tractor and equipment repairs and how to find parts, because if you're like us, a lot of your equipment is from the 1970s, which predates me, and it can be very tricky to learn how to find the parts, nonetheless try and figure out how to fix something. I wanted to just kind of go over some of the resources that we have found to be useful in either buying parts and also how we go about learning about our equipment and figuring out how to make repairs to it. I started going on Amazon to look for certain parts, and it amazed me what I could actually order off of Amazon. I didn't think that you could order this stuff. For a PTO driveline shaft, we have a brush hog which I've beaten up over the years. I finally destroyed the cross bearings on both ends of the universal joint, and the yokes are a little torn up. By the time you price in all those parts, it could be fairly expensive, over $100 to make those repairs. If you were to go out to your local tractor supply store and just buy the entire shaft, you're looking at $200 to $300. But when I got on Amazon, I found one that will fit our brush hog, and it's virtually the same thing, same size, and it was only $139, which compared to what I would have spent going to Tractor Supply and buying the parts and pieces, or Agri Supply to repair the old one, it's the same amount of money and I got a whole new piece. Stabilizer arms. I'm happy about, but not so happy about, the stabilizer arms I ordered don't match. One is left, one is right. They were from the same company. This is actually the one that I thought I was ordering, which is more of a universal bar. You don't always get what you think you're going to get when you're ordering off of Amazon. The other thing that we got off Amazon, and this I would have figured you could have gotten off of Amazon, tire patch kit for $5. A Ford tractor PTO seal. This is literally like right around $10, maybe less on Amazon. We also ordered an oil filter through Amazon. It comes with a new gasket seals. This whole little kit here by Fram, $12, Amazon. Our chainsaw has been broken. The carburetor is no longer able to hold its pressure. They wanted over $100 to repair it. We got this whole kit with the carburetor, all the necessary pieces to fix it. It even has a little adjustment tool. But this entire kit is about $25. We're not just going to Amazon for tractor parts, but we're also getting stuff for our chainsaw. Now, another website that I go to for parts on an older tractor is a site called Yesterday's Tractors. Yesterday's Tractors it's got tons of information on older tractors. You can get the original shop manuals for most of the tractors, but for old tractors, that's why it's called Yesterday's Tractors, they carry just hundreds of aftermarket parts. I mean, you can't go wrong. They've done a great job of putting together their catalog. It's very easy to use. It's not going to be as cheap as Amazon, but you can order from Yesterday's Tractors with peace of mind that what you're ordering is going to be the right equipment for your tractor. Another thing, and I just figured this out trying to find information and parts on a Ford CL 340. They made those between 1971 and 1973. Very short period of time. I was having a really hard time, and I've used this other website several times. I haven't actually ordered parts from it, but I am able to find the parts that I'm looking for and find what the original part was, and then figure out what parts have replaced that original part over the years, and track down the best parts that I need for it. If you have a piece of equipment that isn't listed on yesterday's tractors and you really are trying to figure out what that random piece is, the site is called partstore.agriculture.newholland.com. Now this is for for Fords, New Hollands, anything that is that's kind of been under that umbrella of a manufacturer. The older Fords you get most of their parts nowadays through New Holland. If you go onto that website, they have basically very detailed diagrams that you can go through and pull up. You want to see the engine parts, or you want to see whatever part that it is that you're working on. If you don't have a shop manual, but you really want to get a good idea of how something was supposed to be built, because a lot of times these machines have been modified, you could actually go onto that website, pull up entire diagrams of whatever section is that you're working on, decipher which part is which, how the system operates, etc. If you haven't already done so, and this is something that I just started doing, I have basically a binder that has kind of our main pieces of equipment that we use on the farm. This is Ford, so in here we have the 3000, the CL340, and our 1993 F250. So in here I keep anything that I'm researching to repair, or if there are shop manuals, I keep them in here, and that way I could always skim through this and find parts. On the New Holland website that I mentioned, where you can find parts diagrams, I have diagrams that I have kept on areas that I feel I'm either going to be working on or need to be working on, and I keep them all in here so I could easily flip to them. I don't have to worry about having Wi-Fi outside to look something up on my computer. A little old school that way. I also keep in here work logs of anything that we have done to any piece of equipment, the date that we did it, what parts were used, and that's to help make it a little easier for me so that I can gauge in upcoming maintenance what something's going to cost me, where I found the part, and what part number I used, because sometimes, again, we're using parts that weren't original parts. Keeping kind of your own manual that you're building as you do repairs is kind of an essential thing. The other thing that I'll do is I'll put down the date, I'll put down the cost, I'll put down any information I have on parts, I'll put down what the repair was, and because we do videos, if I did a video on it, I'll put a V next to it just so that I know for my reference, if I have to do it again, I've done a video on it so I can go back and see what I did, because a lot of times I'm just figuring things out. I don't really know what I'm doing. The other thing that you're going to need if you are working on your own equipment and you are not a mechanic, I use shop manuals. This is a Ford 3000 shop manual. Now, the INT shop manuals, like this one, sometimes you can get those at Tractor Supply. This one came from Tractor Supply. It's a Ford 3000, which is a relatively common tractor. Even though it was from the 1970s, a lot of people are still running them. There's another website that I like called gensales.com. That is where we found the CL340 manual. That is a rare machine as far as finding parts and manuals for us. Gensales has a shop manual, and then if you go to yesterdaystractors.com, they also have, for a lot of tractors, the original shop manuals. The idea of a shop manual on these older tractors and equipment is to help you understand the function of the tractor, the function of the different areas. That should help you figure out how to make the repairs to it. The parts diagrams that are on the New Holland website will help you find and locate the parts and identify them. The shop manual will kind of walk you through the rest. A Tractor Supply Company and Agri Supply Company, you can get parts there. Anytime that you go into a retail store, those parts can be a little costly. Tractor Supply Company and Agri Supply Company are specialized stores, so sometimes you have to go in there because you're looking for a tractor part and you need to have it right now. You can't wait for it to come in the mail. Expect to pay a little more for that. Advanced Auto Parts, AutoZone, Napa Auto Parts, a lot of those places carry parts as well. Napa may have a wider selection than Advanced Auto Parts and AutoZone for tractors and random pieces, because they're NAPA sells parts for all sorts of equipment. Another place that you can look besides Amazon, if you're going to go online, is you can check out eBay. You can look at Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace for used parts. I have bought used parts before. I buy used equipment. You know, as long as it's in better shape than what I'm replacing, sometimes that's what you have to do. Another place that I like to go to look for parts and things are auctions. You can go to estate auctions that are where there are farms and other things, and a lot of times they'll just have lots full of parts and pieces because farmers keep their parts and pieces around to make repairs to their tractors. Definitely check out local auctions. What I normally do is I'll look at an auction. If there's something that we're looking for, a piece of equipment or parts for something, I'll keep an eye on auctions. If I see a lot of things that relate to our equipment, if I see they have a lot of Fords out there and they've got a lot of parts kind of mixed in here and there, I'll make a list of what it is that I'm looking for, go to the auction and see what I can bid on. The thing I like about auctions is that when you choose them correctly, they're not always going to attract the right buyers. You'll end up bidding $5 on a bin of parts that's probably worth $300 or $400. A couple other resources that I will mention to learn how to do things. My Tractor Forum is a great place to go, and you don't have to feel like a dummy on My Tractor Forum because there's a lot of people out there. They're very helpful. They're not going to bash you for not understanding something. If you're more of a visual person and reading information on it in a chat room isn't going to help you, I would highly suggest you turn to YouTube. There are a lot of people out there on YouTube who come across as experts. None of us are experts, so if you're watching a YouTube video on how to do something, I would listen to how they found their parts, why they're using the parts that they're using, and then I would refer back to your own shop manuals and parts lists to make sure that that is what you need. Something I have discovered with some of this old equipment, not every piece of equipment is the same as the other. Especially with older equipment, you also have a lot of modifications that have been done over the years. Just because somebody is doing a repair video on a piece of equipment that is the same equipment that you own, that doesn't necessarily mean that the parts and the way that you're going to be repairing that is the same as yours. Definitely use YouTube. You're watching it right now. Keep in mind that not everybody knows what they're doing on YouTube. A lot of it is just do-it-yourself videos like ours. We're learning as we go. But you can learn the process in which to think through and make a repair from watching a YouTube video. Combine that with your shop manual, combine that with your parts diagrams. You can put the whole thing together. If you're new to this, like we've been new to it, and you're trying to figure out where to find parts, how to fix something, I would utilize all of those resources. Do your research before you start your project. It'll make things 10 times easier. Spend some time looking it up, have some fun with it, put together your own kind of shop manual for your equipment so that as you go back and do repairs in the future, you don't have to redo all the research. You've put it in a format that makes sense to you.